Normally, we think of sea monsters as these massive, mostly hidden creatures that attack boats and swimmers. I see three types. The first is the big monster, a big, brutish creature that is at least the size of a boat, like the kraken or some sort of modern-day megalodon. Next, there are the mermaidish creatures. These resemble humans and hunt in packs. In a lot of stories, they tend to attack individual people or at most a ship's crew. But, unlike the big monster, you most never hear stories of them attacking the boat itself, or maybe a city. Finally, there are the eldritch kinds. Think Cthulhu or the biblical Leviathan, something unfathomable, unfathomable that lives in the vast depths of the ocean, kind of like a big monster, but more mysterious, more intangible, and maybe even more intelligent. A lot of mythological stories and folklore tend to repeat the same characteristics in all of their creatures of the depths. But what about other kinds of sea monsters? The kind you don't see in movies or popular mythology stories. Sure, they could be categorized into one of the big three, but they don't exactly fit in as well as we'd like them to. In this video, we will be covering three weird sea monsters in modern and ancient folklore. For this first one, I apologize in advance, as there are no depictions I can find on the internet, no drawings, no sketches, and I also apologize if I butcher the name. I will put how it's spelled on screen. The Karen Croin of Scottish folklore is said to be so big it eats 7 whales when it feeds. Now you're probably thinking, okay, this fits pretty well into the big monster category. What makes it so different? And let me tell you, I was thinking the same thing at first. But what caught my eye, however, was that in this Scottish mythology, it is said that it would shapeshift into a small silver fish and allow itself to be caught by fishermen. Once brought into the boat, the Karen Croin would revert back to its true form and eat the boat with the people on it. You may have heard stories of sea monsters that lure their prey towards them, like a giant anglerfish, but the Karen Croin is unique as it allows itself to be lured towards the prey, who are bringing in this unassuming fish with a false sense of security. All in all, there isn't a lot I can say about the sea monster, as all the sources are on 1 or 2 minute reads that cover all the same information. That information being that the Karen Croin ate 7 whales when it was hungry, and how it disguised itself as a fish. If anybody does have any more information, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Next up, we have the mermaid-adjacent cryptid of the sea monk. What makes this sea monster so unique is the fact it looks like, well, a monk. Allegedly, first caught between Denmark and Sweden in the mid-1500s, the sea monk is said to be a fish that greatly resembles a monk. There's not really much more to it than that. Unlike the previous entry in this video, there isn't as much of an aura of mysticism around it. People in the 1500s just thought that there was a species of fish that looked like a monk, just as common as a sea bass or a tuna, I guess. Previously in my video, Lesser Known Medieval Cryptids, I had put the sea monk in as an honorable mention and said that it looked like other humanoid fish cryptids, and it was probably created just like other humanoid fish cryptids, with someone looking at a seal and thinking that it looked like a humanoid fish. However, upon doing more research, there is good reason to believe that it was squids who were mistaken for a sea monk, as you can see in the picture. That would explain the one that was allegedly captured. They just caught a squid and didn't know what it was. Under that assumption, it is easier to understand how so many people in the 1500s believed this fish to have really existed. Look at this picture, it's literally wearing clothes. For our final entry, we saved the strangest for last. This is called a Jenny Hanover. What is it? Well, let me break it down for you. A Jenny Hanover is the dried remains of a small ray that is flipped upside down and its body is cut up to look like a tiny sea monster. These little monstrosities were sold as gag oddities or used to convince people that something that looks like this actually lives under the sea. Think the Fiji mermaid, but on a much smaller scale with the people it conned. Unlike other sea monsters we've discussed, this little massacre is never featured in any ancient mythologies, and no one's ever widely believed in it, save for an odd couple fooled by a con artist, of course. I'm not exactly sure where the name Jenny Hanover comes from. One theory suggests it comes from the French term jeune fille d'Anvers, meaning young girl from Antwerp. If this theory is correct, maybe these were first sold in the Belgian city of Antwerp. But nowadays, with better animal protection laws and a better moral conscience about mutilating animal carcasses, it is harder to find one of these gems in your local seaside gift shop. But while Jenny Hanovers never made it into the spotlight just like the Fiji mermaid did, they certainly did capture the attention of many oddity collectors in the 1900s. I'm sure you could see why these specific sea monsters never made it into any movies or on the front cover of any mythology books. But I'm sure you could see why they deserve to be in this video. If anything, these sea monsters are proof of how wild and out there our imaginations can be when imagining what might live in an almost completely alien environment. Because keep in mind, back then, people didn't know what was in the ocean like we do now. Looking at these figments of the human imagination, one might confidently be able to say that while the world we can see is strange, foreign, and mysterious, our imaginations will always be there to raise that bar even higher.